Angry Bears Fan Podcast, episode 125. I hadn't been doing the numbers the last few weeks to try something else out, but somebody pointed out to me that they were like, why you stopped doing the episode count? So, I don't know, just uh, something that got brought to my attention. But the Bears blow a layup, a victory. Broke our hearts. I don't know if broke our hearts the word, but just fell flat on their face, came out flat, and lost a very winnable game that we would have been very good to secure.
Oh, yeah, it was a tough watch. I mean, aside from the circus show that was the whole Lamar Jackson injury report thing, was he going to play? Was he not going to play? I mean, regardless, even if you're preparing for Lamar Jackson, regardless of if he was playing or not, you should have been able to handle Tyler Huntley. And they weren't able to do that. So they made him look like fucking MVP Lamar Jackson, essentially. I mean, he anything and everything he wanted to do against this defense, they were able to do that. There was absolutely no pass rush besides the one sack that Montez Sweat had on the very first offensive series for the Ravens, and then after that, it was over with. And I had sent you a message after the first two. I believe it was after the first drive where they went down and got a field goal. I said if they don't score touchdowns in these red zone trips instead of field goals, this game's going to come back to bite them in the ass, and that's exactly what happened. This red zone
100%.
offense is absolutely terrible. If they score one touchdown on one of those two opening drives and it's 10-0 or 14-0, the entire game script changes. And they allowed the Ravens to stick around and stay in the game, and that's exactly what happened. They ended up losing 30-16. Caleb Williams was like 25 of 36 for 285 yards, no touchdowns, one interception. Roma Dunze had 7 catches for 114 yards. Uh, DeAndre Swift had 11 carries for 46 yards or 11 carries for 44 yards or something like that. And it just overall, it was not Ben Johnson's best game. Usually we start with the good. I'll start with the good for this week. There wasn't a whole lot of it. For me, the only good really that I saw was just the Roma Dunze stuff. 7 catches, 114 yards. He had another drop on a play he should have made, and that's been a weekly thing. We talked about it last week. Is that there's always one a week that Roma Dunze drops that he should have. And DJ Moore, I said they needed to get him more involved in the offense, and he showed why. With that ridiculous catch, it was a ridiculous throw by Caleb. Don't get me wrong. And those are the flashes that we see that we're just like, my God, man, if he could put it all together, he would be amazing. But the inconsistency showed up again, especially in the red zone, pre-snap penalties. But for me, the only good so far this week was Roma Dunze, DJ Moore getting some catches, and the offensive line again was another positive for me. I know we had some issues with the pre-snap penalties and stuff, but overall they had a pretty decent game. I know Theo Benedict got beat real bad by Mike Green a couple of times, but other than that, it was another solid showing for the rest of the offensive line. Joe Tooney, Drew Dahlman, Jonah Jackson, and um, Darnell Wright. Darnell Wright continues to just play really, really, really well this season. So those are my goods. What about you?
Um, I honestly I couldn't think any goods. I guess what you said, the silver lining that Rome and Caleb have that number one wide receiver connection going, but I don't know. I think we need to lean into getting DJ the ball more. I feel like the offense gets going more and we're getting him the ball more for whatever reason. But I didn't really see a lot of goods. O line was a lot better. Caleb wasn't running for his life. Theo did get beat a few times, but he's a undrafted guy from Canada who, you know what I mean, had no, again, another Braxton Jones situation where we just got some guy out there that's not an anchor. So I don't put too much stock in it, but there wasn't really a lot of good in like I guess the first quarter where had ball control and we got 3-and-out and we drove down the field. But I guess to just get into the bads, it's like the penalties are just too much. Like just very untimely, just the wrong time. We got 30 inches and we get a false start. Like that can't happen. Like that, like you said, one touchdown game is completely different. I know we lost by more than that, but it's kind of like a garbage time stuff things where, um, but us not getting three turnovers a game really showed that that's just not a sustainable way to play. We can't be relying on even getting one turnover a game, let alone three. And it was really masking a lot of the issues we had where we couldn't finish in the red zone. We're kicking a lot of field goals, and that just can't happen. And it can't, like you said, came back to bite us in this one. This was essentially a playoff game for the Ravens. They were without their starting quarterback, 1-5 in a tough division in a tough conference, and they legitimately couldn't lose that game. Even with their and they benched their starter, well, then bench him, but he was just too hurt to play. And that's a good team that we got to come in there when they need to win. They know it with their backup, and I mean, we don't need the win or we're not eliminated, but just a big win to put us in position. Almost lock us into the playoffs unless we implode. And they came out and played better than us. They were better coached than us. They were more prepared. Um, and they executed way better. And Tyron Huntley being outplaying our number one overall pick, potential franchise quarterback, is disheartening.
Yeah, that's a problem. And you brought it up earlier. It was perfect. You hit the nail right on the head when you said that um, winning these last four kind of masked the offensive woes and just the overall generality of the franchise right now. Masked the penalties and stuff like that. They weren't killing us because we were winning. Those directly led to losses for us this week, and it's frustrating. Like you said, you have Tyler Huntley outplaying a number one overall pick quarterback. And, I'm not giving up on Caleb. I'm not saying he's a bust or anything like that. But what I am saying is that it's time to start having the conversation of he's not where he should be for a number one overall pick. I don't want to hear the excuse that it's his first year under a new head coach, new play caller, blah 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 blah. Because Drake May is has the exact same thing going on right now in New England with a worse offensive line, with a worse position group at wide receiver, worse running back room, and he's a top five quarterback right now. So I don't want to hear those excuses. Those excuses are completely out the window. He needs to be better, and he needs to, quickly start developing some tendencies that are going to be positive. I'm not saying he can't do it. Maybe he's going to, do it slower than the rest of that draft class, whatever it may take. But the fact is, he's not as advertised right now. And it's not his fault. You were saying, he's the number one overall pick. He was labeled as generational coming out of the draft. But we've had this same song and dance before with the last two quarterbacks that we've taken with Justin Fields and Mitch Trubisky. It was always patience, 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 patience. And a lot of Bears fans' patience are wearing thin because he came in with all these expectations of being generational. Granted, it's not his fault that he came in with those, but the media hyped him up and everything else like that. So expectations for Bears fans were, okay, this guy is going to come in and things are going to completely change, and they haven't. He needs to be better. 1,000% he needs to be better. The difference between him and Jared Goff, and I see these comparisons all the time about Jared Goff's first 7 games in the system of Ben Johnson's system and Caleb's first 7 games in Ben Johnson's system. The numbers, while they seem eerily similar, the fact of the matter is that Jared Goff had already a couple of years under his belt, and he had taken a team to a Super Bowl before he joins Detroit, and was in Ben Johnson's offense.
And he
So
was with Sean
he,
McVay before all that
yeah,
too.
and so
So
he had a leg up already. When you look at Caleb's first 7 games this year compared to his first 7 games last year, he's completing less, percentage wise, he's completing less passes with like 150 more yards, the same amount of touchdowns. So there hasn't been a jump. There hasn't been a big improvement from
no,
last year compared to this year, and that's concerning, especially when you see Bo Nix playing the way that he's playing, when you see Drake May doing what he's doing in New England, and Jane Daniels taking the Commanders to the NFC Championship game last year. Now, again, I'm not saying he's a bust. I'm not saying I've ran out of patience, but the questions are absolutely valid for Bears fans right now to be saying, what the fuck is going on?
Yes.
And they're completely valid.
Yeah.
So that definitely is a negative for me in terms of this game. Another negative, I understand that we had no corners in this game. We didn't. Injuries are a problem. But Detroit went through this last year. They still made it to the NFC title game. They won. Why? Because they were prepared. There was next man up mentality. Their GM does a really good job of bringing in talent as depth pieces, and those coaches are coaching them up. Ryan Poles has done the complete opposite. It has not been good. The roster building behind our starters, we're fucked, and that's an issue personnel wise. I don't expect Al Harris to take guys off the practice squad and turn them into viable starters. I don't expect that, but you got to have those depth pieces, and we don't have that. The penalties, you nailed it again, man. These fucking penalties, especially on the pre-snap side of the ball. At some point, as coaches, you're saying it in practice, you're saying it in meetings, you're saying it. Eventually, it falls on the players. These leaders, they have to be the ones that are like, yo, what the fuck are we doing with these penalties?
Yeah,
That shit has to stop.
yes, it's just yeah, just lack of
We're
discipline. I don't
negative
know what.
200, negative 279 yards net penalty yardage. That's the most in the league by far. We're the second most penalized team, and we're the second least opponent. So our opponents are penalized the second least in the league. So there's a big discrepancy in penalty yardage between
Yes.
us and who we're playing. The shit has to stop, and it has
Yeah.
to get fixed quick, fast, and in a hurry. Because I'll tell you what, Cincinnati, Joe Flacco, regardless of how old he is or what, he carved us up last year when he was playing for the Browns. If we don't have a secondary going into Cincinnati next or this Sunday coming up with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, we're gonna get fucking wrecked by 41-year-old Joe Flacco, and that's just fact because
Yeah.
we can't pressure the quarterback. So what happens? I see all these fucking moves. I just sent you a couple. The Tennessee Titans traded McCreary to the Los Angeles Rams for a fucking ham sandwich. The
I don't know what.
Keon White got traded for a ham sandwich. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I know Austin Booker just got activated or whatever, but my bigger concern is the fact that he wasn't activated previously after, full participant in practice for the last 3 weeks. It took a torn ACL from Shamar Turner to get him activated this week. And Ben Johnson saying, oh, well, the reason why he hasn't been activated in the last 3 weeks is because we felt comfortable with who we've had on the roster going into these games. That doesn't make any sense. So
No.
either something's going on and they're seeing something in practice that Austin Booker's not doing or, not a fit or whatever the case may be. But if he can't get on the field with what they already fucking had, that's a problem. And that's a
It just means
Ryan
he.
Poles
It
problem.
just means he's not it. He probably can't stop the run. He probably gets moved around in the run game. But even then, bring him in or only put him out there to pass rush. Like I'm perfectly fine with that if he can't, if he's a utility player. But like you said, we have no depth. We have Ben Johnson was supposed to be bringing it, but honestly, I think culture goes with depth. Like you said, Lions next man up. They figure it out, and not to shit on McLeod or Wright. I think they have been playing better than I envisioned, but with the lack of pass rush, it's just all bad. We were doing a good job controlling the ball, but we're not when we're not finishing those drives with touchdowns. It's really pointless to control the ball. Because NFL teams, even with their backup quarterback who wasn't even on the team in training camp, can march up and down the field. Um, so we can't go field goal for field goal. And the Ravens are a good team. Like that's if we can't beat a good team without their starting quarterback, how are we going to beat the Vikings? How are we going to beat the Packers? How are we going to beat the Lions when we can't slow down Tyron Hunt? Everybody in our division's got a good run game and an elite wide receiver on the outside. So it's like the season's getting long. If Poles doesn't make a move, I don't know what we're gonna do. If we don't somehow inject some pass rush into the defense, we're fucked unless we bank on getting 2 or 3 turnovers a game, and that's just not going to happen because that's what I mean. This is an analytic league. They're going to go into the meeting saying, "Hey guys, I mean, I obviously you're not preaching getting turnovers, but they're going to be drawing the game plan, telling their quarterback, "Do not turn the fucking ball over, and the Bears can't beat us." So the teams will play more conservatively, and we, you know what I mean. Honestly, the Saints could have beat us if Rattler didn't turn over the ball so much. They, you know what I mean, and we easily could have lost that game. So I don't know what they're going to do. Ben
We could
Johnson's
have
got to
lost
get.
the Raiders game if Geno doesn't throw 3 interceptions.
Yeah, it's
Like,
like if he doesn't get his house in order, and it's masking Caleb's lack of progression. And even in this game, I think he got blessed with some garbage time yardage when it didn't matter. That kind of made his stat line look a little bit better, but he's just hasn't been it. I mean, he's been like super mediocre, not something we could have got. Like we're looking around the league, we could have gotten this from anybody really. To almost to throw for 3,800 yards and have a decent interception and touchdown ratio. That's not anything special. And I think we were so starved for generational talent like Caleb and some an upgrade in quarterback play from Justin Fields that we kind of were hooraying all this shit. But he's below average at this point, and not. And I think he's holding us back to an extent. And he's got all the same bad habits that Justin Fields had, really, except for he's got more arm talent and more upside. But I felt that the difference with him is like his lows are just mid. He plays mediocre. He throws for 200 yards. No thing. Justin's lows where it was under 100 yards and it looked like, you know what I mean, like shit. But I mean, where the highs were different for Justin Fields. Where are the highs with Caleb? Where like he's really just going out there and winning us a game, like going crazy, doing generational stuff. Was he have one of those games in his entire career where he went out there and threw 4 touchdown passes and you know what I mean, led us to win. He's had some nice comeback drives. I mean, it got the fail Mary kind of dampened it, but I want to see the 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, 300 yards. Like, where are all these games at? We've got Roma Dunze, DJ Moore, Coastal Loveland, Komet, at least top 15 O line. I think better than that, honestly. Watching all the teams across the league, and it's like we are not reaping any of these benefits. And we talked about it all off season and the beginning of the season. This is what we got Caleb for, to surround him with a bunch of talent. Now we're not going out to make any moves, and it's gearing up for another, not another, but maybe a 7-win season, 8-win if we're lucky. But to build on what you said, we're not beating Cincinnati if we play like that. Ravens defense is worse than the Bengals, and we couldn't move it up and down, or we couldn't score on them. And the Bengals are putting up 30 a game. So I
yep.
don't. It's going to be interesting if Joe Flacco's and Jamar Chase and T Higgins are lighting everybody up, and I don't envision it's going to slow down with us. We've got fucking practice squad corners out there, no pass rush, and Joe Flacco lit us up with the Browns. With I think did they have Jerry Judy? I don't even know if they had Judy then. So it's like, yeah, it's I don't know. I've lost a lot of confidence. We spoke about the turnovers not being sustainable, but we couldn't really see it until it happened how much it was masking how not good of a team we are if we're not getting those turnovers.
Yeah, and you perfect transition to week 9. With the Cincinnati game coming up, and we kind of touched on it, was the fact that, since the Bengals got Joe Flacco, it's been a completely different offense. They're dropping 30 points on everybody. And the Jets got a better defense than we do. They dropped 38 on the Jets. And granted, the Jets won that game, so the defense and everything else like that wasn't all that good. But the fact of the matter is if you get into a shootout with the Cincinnati Bengals coming up, are you confident in the offense
Yes.
to convert those field goals into touchdowns and win a shootout against the Cincinnati Bengals? Um, right now, as we are speaking on this Tuesday, the 28th at 9:19 p.m., I am not confident that the offense can win a shootout against the Bengals.
No.
And I have to see the injury report. I have to see when it comes out on Friday, the last injury report before the game. I got to see who's in this fucking game. I don't know what's going on with the training staff. Ben Johnson's throwing shade at the training staff, apparently, in these press conferences when he's talking about, Kyler Gordon going on IR, saying, yeah, it's another soft tissue injury. So is it the training staff? Is it like, what the fuck is going on? Because Kyler Gordon being out, Tyreek Stevenson with a shoulder. Who knows if he's going to come back this week? He could, but what's he going to be at? Do we risk it? Do we put him out there and have him, do more damage to the shoulder and then have him go on fucking IR? Like what? What do we do here? I have to see that injury report. Have to see it when it comes in on Friday before who's activated, who's in, who's out for this game on Sunday. Because if we throw the same defense out there that we did this week against the Baltimore Ravens. The game that you thought Tyler Huntley carving us up was bad. The Bears have absolutely no shot of winning this
Yeah.
game on Sunday. If we throw out the same corners and same secondary that we did, against Baltimore, because Joe Flacco is going to return to form, you know, in his Baltimore days, he's going to throw for 400 yards. If we have the same defense that we had out there on Sunday, you can bookmark this right now. Joe Flacco will have 400 yards passing against the Bears because nobody, aside Jalen Johnson, Patrick Surtain, a couple of corners in this league, nobody can guard Jamar Chase.
Oh, this one
Can
was
you
bad.
fucking imagine Deshaun Wright and McLeod covering Jamar Chase? Are you fucking kidding me? I would bet every player prop over that Jamar Chase has. I would like legitimately put money on Jamar Chase getting 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. If that's what we're throwing
He's
out
going to
there,
have a big game, and I mean, regardless
absolutely.
of what we throw out there, this is going to be a game where Sweat, hopefully Booker, and these guys really take some pride, and they're going to have to step up and win us this game, or we are going to lose. I don't see us scoring 30 based on how we've been playing as of late, unless the defense is putting us in great field position and getting turnovers, and then we win anyway. So,
I mean,
um,
Flacco is prone to throwing interceptions.
yeah,
I'm not saying he's perfect. He will throw, a couple of errant passes a game and stuff like that. You got to take advantage of those. But man, I just don't know. The run defense isn't there entirely. I mean, yeah, Derrick Henry ran for 79 yards, but Mitchell, the rookie for Baltimore, had a couple of big gashes too. You know what I'm
oh
saying?
yeah.
And Chase Brown is a threat out of the backfield, both running and catching the football. He's got some speed. Um, I just this is a game here where realistically you're hopeful. You hope the Bears can pull this out, but I would not bet the Bears in this position. I know they're a point and a half or 2.5 point favorites or whatever on the road. I would not personally bet the Bears this week
No, I
to
don't
win
like
this
this.
game.
No,
I just don't like it. Like I said, it's all going to depend on who's playing defense this week. Um, it's not it's not a must win, but it's a game that after getting your ass beat against Baltimore and a backup quarterback, you need to come out and you need to send a message that okay,
I personally
we've
think
got
it
our
is
shit together.
a must win if they plan on making the playoffs because you can't beat them. I mean, you're going to have to beat the Lions, beat the Vikings, and split with the Packers at least. And if we can't beat the Bengals with Joe Flacco quarterback, we're not doing that. So um, they have to win this game. If they would have beaten the Ravens, then maybe they would have had a little bit of wiggle room. But I think if they don't win this game, we're going to be a 7-win team. I think the Lions will beat us. I mean, if I'm being optimistic, the Packers are for sure at least beating us once. Um, and I mean, you could talk about JJ McCarthy all you want, whoever, but JJ McCarthy already beat the Bears, a healthier Bears team than this one. So um, I think they do have to win this game. They have to show that they can overcome adversity. Like you said, the Lions, they had their whole fucking defense got hurt too, and they overcome. They won with their offense. They got creative. They coached them up, but like Huntley, this is the good team's backup quarterback. Joe Flacco is, you know what I mean, a great, you know what I mean. He's got a good career and a long history in this league, but he's a backup quarterback for a reason. He got traded for a fifth round or sixth round pick for a reason. Same, and so we got to come out and dominate him. And that's if we ever plan on being a good team, this is what good teams do. They don't let teams beat them with their backup quarterback.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that sentiment. I don't know. I'm frustrated. I'm it's one of those things where you take a look at realistically where we should be at. And, I know we all had this game previously as a loss, before the season started when we saw the schedule, but you had an opportunity with a backup quarterback in there and you failed on that opportunity to take advantage. And now, what's going to happen? Are you going to fail to take advantage again with Joe Burrow out? You know what I'm saying? It's just, it sucks. It's not a good position to be in. We were all expecting better, and we have not gotten that yet. So, um, what's your final prediction for Week 9 against the Bengals? Fandom, taking your fandom out of it. What's your gut telling you?
Uh, say like 30-21 Bengals. If I'm going with my gut, I do think there's a very good path for us to win if Sweat and Grady Jarrett and all of them come out and puff their chests out, really play a good game on defense. I think we can disrupt them. Like I said, Joe Flacco is Joe Flacco. We can get a couple turnovers off of him. We can rat him a little bit if we can get the pocket, move the pocket. But I think we've lost a lot of our momentum. I think a lot of the wins out of our sails. Caleb is, I don't know, it's just inaccurate and doing a lot of the same stuff we were griping Justin for, holding the ball too long, not hitting the check downs, throwing shit late. And it's it's getting a little frustrating at this point. I understand he's a young quarterback, and I give seeing Darnold's praises and Baker's praises, but you know what I mean. I don't got time to think about if Caleb's going to be good in 5 years or in 4 years. Like we need it now, unfortunately, for him, for whoever. But um, yeah, I want to see something now, and I just I don't see a scenario where Flacco doesn't throw for 300 plus yards, multiple touchdowns, and Jamar Chase lights us up and they score close to 30 points. And the way Caleb and the offense have been playing, I don't think we can match that. So I can't, in good conscience, say I think we're going to win the game if I don't think we can score 30 points too. You saw the Jets had to score 40 to win. And nothing the Bears offense has shown me, I think we're going to score 40 points. And the Jets got a better defense than us. So a lot better. They got Sauce Gardner, they got Quentin Williams, they got playmakers all over the place. They've got a better pass
Well,
rush. They got better.
Sauce was out. Sauce
Okay,
didn't
Sauce
play.
is out. Okay, even without Sauce, their guys are better. They got better guys in the secondary than us. They got Quinn Williams. They got Jeremiah Johnson. They got a solid pass rush. Aaron Glenn's a good defensive coach, and they got 40 put on them. So we're in for a rough one. Like I said, we got to hope Joe Flacco's having a down game or the pass rush is invigorated. But if we, like you said, we come out playing like we played last week, we have no chance.
Yeah, I share your sentiment exactly. It's if we roll out the same defense and we don't get any motivated play, we're looking at a bad loss here because I don't have confidence right now in this offense to score 35, 40 points. I just don't. So my gut's telling me this is going to be another Bears loss. But we'll try to remain optimistic. Obviously we're not going to be watching the game on Sunday and be like, man, I hope the Bears lose.
No.
But I think we're all in for, a rude awakening and some frustration. So we'll see what happens there. I unfortunately left my notes at work, so I do not have a factor cap this week. I completely blanked on it when I thought I was going to remember it, and I don't. But I guess we could skip that, and we could go to dog of the week.
Oh
Who
yeah,
was your dog? Who was your dog of the week?
this week, we haven't really been doing it, and I guess we've been doing a disservice. But I gotta say, Jonathan Taylor, like he has just been shitting on everybody. I think we've all been kind of poo-pooing, not you, just in general, people poo-pooing the Colts and what they've been doing. But Jonathan Taylor is crazy. I mean, last year we were talking about Saquon should have won the MVP, and I'm pretty sure Jonathan Taylor's already got more touchdowns than him right now than he had all of last year. So, or they're close. I think Saquon had 15 and Jonathan Taylor's got 14 or something like that.
Jonathan Taylor's on pace to score. On pace to have like 39 total touchdowns.
The
That's
record's what,
insane.
28, right?
No, the record is like 31 or 32 by
31.
LaDainian
Okay. Okay.
Tomlinson.
Yeah.
That's
So man,
insane.
yes, insane. So and he really kicked ass in that game. He was
Oh
playing
yeah,
like a man amongst boys, and that guy's a freak. So
he was mine as well. There was a couple to choose from. I was gonna choose Myles Garrett, just because he had 5 sacks, but they lost, by a lot. It's not like it was a close game or
yeah, I
anything.
saw that.
James Cook had over 200 yards rushing. He would have been, 2 touchdowns. That was another one. But just what Jonathan Taylor is doing right now, they remind me a lot of the 2021 Tennessee Titans, where it was just, you know, Henry and company. You know what I'm saying? They go into a 12-5 record. It just what he's carrying that entire offense. It's not taking anything away from Daniel Jones and what the Colts are doing, because they're 7-1 for a reason. It's not just all Jonathan Taylor. Um, you know, Daniel Jones is making some throws. Shane Steichen's calling a hell of a game. They're the most efficient offense in the league. They're the most efficient offense in the history of the NFL right now. So that's just and that says a lot, because you have the 2007 Patriots that went, 16-0 with Tom Brady, Randy Moss, you know what I'm saying? And they're more efficient statistically than that 2007 offense. And that's just they're doing a great job. Jonathan Taylor is my dog of the week as well. That's the first time we've agreed on that.
Yeah,
So that's, what I'm saying? That
feel
that
like
says a
I
lot
feel like
about a
we owed him one.
performance.
This one, he's been playing great, but
Absolutely. Absolutely. There was a
and,
couple,
and
like I was
speaking of
I was gonna
that,
go Cook.
this guy was on pace to have a great game too. Cam Scatabo fucked his ankle up. They said dislocated ankle. I think that was being generous.
Yeah,
Um,
very generous.
but it
I
was
that
sad to see him go out. He's been really dominating, and we all love to
that
see the rookie step out.
detached. That was one of the nastiest things I had ever
Usually,
seen.
people bounce back fine from ankle injuries, though, so that's a shining light. It's not a knee or anything like that. Um, but that it sucked to see him go down. He was a lot of fun to watch all year long, and he was really reinvigorating the Giants
Yeah, well, I said
organization.
I liked him and Jackson Dart. You know what I'm saying? It just
Good picks.
and that's a Bears opponent coming up too. You know what I'm saying? So the Bears catch another break, because I feel like a guy like Cam Scatteroo would have just fucking ran motherfuckers
Yes.
over. You know what I'm saying? Since I don't have Factor Cap this week, what we could talk about real quick before we get off the air here is the surprising 3-0 start for the Chicago Bulls.
Yes, the bullet. I watched most of that game last. I watched probably like 50-60% of most of the games. Billy Donovan's got them playing. They're playing the new, fast paced, quick NBA style of basketball. They've had some favorable matchups. I did not think they were going to beat the Magic, but they always seem to beat the Hawks for whatever reason. But they've been playing well, moving the ball. Everybody's sharing it. Trey Jones has looked good coming off the bench. Buzelis is really, he's taking steps each year. He's like a he's going to be. I'm guessing this year he'll be 15 points a game, probably 5 boards, a couple assists. Maybe next year he'll take a step to 20 points a game, but he seems to be growing in his body. I think he has potential to be a multiple-time All-Star. I don't, superstar. I don't see that in him, but he's a really good basketball player. Giddy, I think, was worth the money for the Bulls. I don't think they really had any other choice but to get him. I think Vooch has been playing great. I
I
think
think Vooch, since they got rid of Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, the ball, because they average 30 assists a game,
yeah,
so they're making the extra pass. And this isn't like last year's team where the ball stops when it touches DeMar's hands or Zach's hands. You know what I'm saying? Because those guys wanted to score. They wanted to be the guy. It seems like it's very unselfish basketball right now.
yeah,
Josh Giddey and Vucevic both are really seeing the floor really well. I think Vooch is averaging like six or seven assists per game.
something.
Giddy is, at 8 assists per game or whatever it is. He's close to a triple double almost every night. And like you said, the bench players that, Ayu Dosunmu coming off the bench has been a real spark. And this is all without Kobe White. If they continue playing like this, I think Kobe White becomes a very valuable trade chip, to where you could trade him for an athletic big, and you can kind of bring him in. And you know what I'm saying? Because with Kobe White, yeah, he's a scorer, but if you got Buzelis and Giddy and Vucevic, you don't really need a fourth, scorer. You go
Not
get
in
an
what the
athletic
Bulls
big.
are doing. No, I think Kobe White is like a 6 man type of player,
Absolutely.
and I think he would benefit like a good team a lot, like a Lakers or somebody like that. When you got to rest your guy, he can come in and get some buckets. But Kobe White has played great. But I agree with you that it gives him some flexibility to maybe add some draft cap compensation, or maybe get a young guy with some potential to bring out and maybe give some more minutes on the court, or package him and some other guys for a disgruntled superstar. Who knows? But the Bulls have looked good. That being said, it's kind of a double-edged sword because we need the Bulls to be bad. Because we need them to get a really good pick. You're not going to get the next Wemby. You're not going to get Cooper Flag at pick 14. So
No,
that's the shit.
their ceiling's at about 45
That's
wins,
what I'm saying. Their ceiling is
realistically.
first round, a really good, hard fought first round loss in the playoffs. So that being said, yes, that'll be fun to watch, and it's good to see them win games. And the Bulls fans are, I don't know if gullible is a word, but just we're a sucker when it comes to a nice young team who's going out there and playing hard and
Yes,
scrappy, and so we'll go out and root for
absolutely.
them. This is what Jerry loves when he gets a team like this and he doesn't have to pay any fucking money. That's really fun to watch and highly energetic and gets our hopes up. So, like I said, it's a double-edged sword where I'm rooting for him and I want him to win, but I mean, it's we need them to be a lottery pick and not even a lottery pick. We need them to be the top five and really top three. So it's or to hope. I mean, maybe we could get a disgruntled star. I've always been pounding on the table. They should have been doing whatever they had to do to get like Zion or Trae Young. Like I think now is the time you package Kobe White and all our fucking picks and do your best to keep Booz Ellis if you can and go get Trae Young. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But that's the best chance you got. Sitting around hoping you win, you know what I mean? You win the lottery is I don't think that's a viable option. I think you go out and you go get Trae Young or Zion Williams, or and maybe the Grizzlies start having a really bad year and John Morant, like somebody like that who is a superstar or a fading superstar, and you add them and hope that that slingshots you, or that'll be able to get some free agents to come your way. But um, yeah, it's good. Like I said, fun to see him win. They look great. Buzelis looks like he'll be a nice fun piece, but it's it's a double-edged sword in the sense that we don't need them to win. So, and then Jerry will never get the message because the seats are going to start filling because people are going to go watch the Bulls again, and we're going to be stuck in the same vicious cycle. And I don't really know what the end game is. To me, like I said earlier, I think it's he just wants to build a playoff caliber team, and that's good enough for Chicago because we'll come out, and then he's hoping maybe Bucelis will blossom into somebody. I don't know, but um, we can't get free agents. We can't draft get lottery draft picks, and the one time we did, we fucking drafted Pat Will. Um, so and he's just terrible. I saw a mess or a memory on Facebook me from like 4 years ago saying get rid of Pat Will. 4 years for the Bulls. It's like they couldn't see the signs, and but they have been fun, and that and Billy Donovan's coaching his ass off. He is made the extension worth it, but I guess that's what they extended for. I just don't see to what end all of this is going to get us,
Well,
except
that's
for
what I'm saying. Well, that like you said, man, it's fucking basketball purgatory, man. It's basketball hell. And Billy Donovan has been a good coach. You know what I'm saying? Like he had these guys playing up to their full potential last year, past their potential last year. And it's just one of those things where again, like you said, we'll settle. You know what I'm saying? Like I know I'm taking my son to the Bulls game this year, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Just because he likes basketball. You know what I'm saying? It's
And
an
they're fun to watch
affordable
this
thing to
year,
do. You know what
and
I'm
they're
saying?
they're
Like,
they're not they're not a horrible product, um, but it's still not. They're still not putting in the effort the Bulls fans deserve. And that's what I don't like. I think I want to hear that the Bulls offered everything for Trae Young. You know, not everything, but they put in a real effort to get Trae Young, to get whoever's out there. When these guys are free agents, that they are beating down every door, and we don't see those stories coming out where the Bulls, guys had to think twice. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they never had any intention to go to the Bulls, but the Bulls made offers where they were like, "Oh, I might have went there. I almost went there," and they're
mhm.
not doing things like that, hoping that 17th overall draft pick is going to blossom into a star is naive in the NBA. It just doesn't happen, and that's not how you win. That's not how any of the teams have won, and they've gotten with the times and how their roster is built and how they play the game, but they need to do something to get a superstar. I don't. They have to get creative. We either have to tank or they have to go all in on somebody. Get rid of Kobe White. Honestly, I'm not for Trey Young, but if it costs Buzelis, you lose Buzelis. If it's you got to get rid of Buzelis to get John Morant or whoever that is, then you take that risk and you draft the next lanky white boy late in the draft for you know what I mean, and try and groom them. But this is a superstar league. You're not winning without a superstar. OKC had the MVP every year. You look back, either the MVP or top three MVPs on the winning teams. This isn't. It's always been the case in basketball. Even the teams who played team basketball were really good. The Spurs, the Warriors, whatever you thought, they got a guy. And the Bulls don't have a guy, so you're going to be in basketball purgatory where the ceiling on our season is a really hard fought first round series where we lose in 6 games to the Knicks. Like that's the best case scenario for the Bulls. Is that they win the play in and get beaten 5 or 6 in the first round. And it's like that. And if they for some reason escape the first round, there's no way they win in the second round. So that being said, hopefully Jerry or whoever, Ack or whatever, they've got something in mind and they build on some of the success we have, but it's not. I can see the disappointing ends of the season already. Although they've been fun to watch so far.
Oh, I agree 100%. They have been a lot of fun to watch.
All right, like, follow, subscribe, please. If you made it this far, hopefully you did. Keep commenting and keep helping us grow. So we'll see you guys next week.
See you next week.